Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online roll video with me, Sherman. Today guys, we're going to be taking a look at the Dark Paladin Magicka Damage Dealer roll. And this way you guys can see how the class works, you can see how you can take advantage of it in every aspect, even as a damage dealer. But remember, not every damage dealer roll is going to be perfect, okay? Because in order for it to be the best you can be, you have to use the best tools available. This is just to allow this character build to play all the different roles. Now, its effectiveness at doing damage is not as good as a true damage dealer. That's because it's using heavy armor, and we don't have a super high crit rate. But it doesn't mean that we can't play that way. So let's get into it. Taking a look at this, we are a Dark Elf, or a Dark Paladin character is what it's called. The Dark Elf Necromancer is our race and class choice. Being a Dark Elf, you can take advantage of both spell and weapon damage, or spell and magicka. Sorry, magicka and stamina, and then spell and weapon damage because of the race itself. As you can see, our stats are 64 into magicka. This is going to give us our highest amount of max magicka with this build. And we have 30,600 max magicka with 24,000 health, 17,000 stamina, 1335 magic recovery. We are using Witch Mother's Potent Brew at the time, and if you wanted to, you could even switch to the mashed bananas. It's going to give you some more magicka, some more health. This is going to make you more effective with your DPS and your damage per second. Or critical, we can't get any higher, unfortunately, unless you have a Sork in your group who can give you extra increased spell critical. But it's only going to take you to about 40%, unfortunately. We do have 15,000 spell resist with a 15,000 physical resist. This is just for greater survivability. Let's move on to our gear. And like I said, with the different foods, you can use Witch Mother's Potent Brew if you want, or you can use the Minstrel Banana Bunny Hash, and that's a really good food too. Or if you really wanted to, you could even use the Longfin Pasty with melon sauce, so you can have a greater stamina pool for dodge rolling, blocking, and stuff like that if you're having resource issues. Each of these foods is going to change your resource pools to a different value. The monster sense we're running is Thorvikin's, and I chose this because it fits the role of a Dark Paladin. Next, we're running Hunting's Rage. Again, it fits the role of the Dark Paladin and the fact that I can play stamina. If I wanted to, I could even equip a Maul on the front bar instead of using a Destruction Staff and still play this character by using the Longfin Pasty and Melon Sauce, because my max health and stamina go up, and with the max stamina pool, I can actually take advantage of some of the abilities from the two-handed to help keep myself in the fight and help my group. So, alright. Now, the reason I chose Thorvikin's, like I said, it just fits the role. The one piece, max health, the two piece, when you take damage from a nearby enemy, you summon a growing pool of desecrated bile for 8 seconds. Enemies in the bile take 554 disease damage every 1 second, and are afflicted with minor maim and minor defile for 4 seconds, reducing their damage done by 15% and healing received by and health recovery by 15%. The effect can occur every 8 seconds. So we are using that set. Rattle Cage is just mainly for if we're using stamina-based weapons. Mostly for if we're playing stamina DPS, or stamina damage dealer, or we're using a lot of stamina-based skills like Vigor or Caltrops or something as a tank. And then Rattle Cage is here to increase our spell damage. This is how we are getting all of that higher spell damage to 2550. And it does change to 2790 on the front bar. Back bar is 2550. A little bit lower, but that's okay. Right, let's move on. The traits and Mundus stones, or traits that I'm using, the Mundus stone I'm running right now is the Thief. The Thief is what I'm going to run because it's going to give me the higher critical value that I need to play this build as a damage dealer. And then the traits on our gear is 3 invigorating on the big pieces. This is just going to allow us to have a greater stamina recovery. This is our magic recovery, so we can take advantage of that when we need to. Moving on down here, we do have sturdy on the smaller pieces. This just help us with our block costs and stuff for when we're tanking mostly, but also as playing a healer or damage dealer, reducing your block cost saves you resources. And going over the enchantments, we are running 3 tri-stats on the body, chest, and legs. This gives us that well-roundedness so we can play these different roles more effectively, like tank, healer, and damage dealer. We are running 2 Magicka enchants, 1 on the shoulder, 1 on the belt. We're running a stamina enchant on the boots and the gloves. With our jewelry, we are running a weapon damage enchant on a tri-rune, again to fill out that ability to play all 3 roles, tank, healer, damage dealer. And we did that on this as well. We put a spell damage with the tri-rune, weapon damage with the tri-rune, and then on this one we're running infused magic recovery so we can take advantage of our magic recovery. Now moving on to the weapons, we are running a Rattle Cage Inferno Staff with a shock enchant on it, charged. This one will increase our chance to apply the status effect of off balance, because we can apply the shock enchant to them, and that'll set them off balance. This allows us to have a more effective uptime of that for this way of play. Next we have Rattle Cage Lightning Staff with a weapon damage enchant and Nirnhone. This just helps us boost our spell damage and stuff when we're on the back bar. Because when we're on the back bar, we want that greater weapon damage and stuff to be there to help us improve our damage per second and stuff. You could go Nirnhone on the front bar with Infused on the back bar. That's up to you. I just like this combination because I feel it really works with this. Also, this has a weapon damage enchant, which increases our spell and weapon damage by 348. Alright, moving on to the skills now. And talking about the skills, and you do want to use spell power pots with this. They're the ones that give you the Magicka, like this, Magicka, magic recovery, sorcery, and spell damage, even though you're using sets and skills that are going to take care of the prophecy and the major sorcery for you. It's fine. You can still use these pots. They're going to be the best option for you, because they do give you that major intellect, which increase your magic recovery by 20%, and you get that 7,582 Magicka back when you use it. Now going to the skills, starting with class skills. Make sure you just unlock the class skills you want to use for your Magicka DPS, and have them available, because you never know what you're going to need. Weapon skills, since we are using a Magicka DPS person, it is good to follow into the Destruction Staff line so you can take advantage of all the tools in the Destruction Staff. Armor, light armor, top 3. This is going to give you some snare removal, sprint cost reduction. This is going to give you some mag recovery along with some mag reduced costs. This is also going to increase your spell resist. Medium armor, top 2. The top one mainly for the weapon critical if you are using a stamina based build with this and not Magicka like I am, that you can still take advantage of this, and this applies to that as well. But this is the main reason why you want this one for when you're playing Magicka, is the reduced cost to roll dodge by 4% for each piece of medium armor equipped by 4%. This, along with your CP, will allow you to dodge roll more effectively. Moving on to heavy armor, make sure you unlock all your heavy armor passives. Resolve gives you higher resistances. This makes you more survivable, even as a damage dealer. Having higher resistances just does that for you. Next, you can use Constitution. This is how you're going to get resources back. Whenever you take damage, you're going to get some resources back. Juggernaut increases your max health by 2% for each piece of heavy armor equipped. Revitalize increases your mag and stamina return of your fully charged heavy attacks by 25%. You do have to be wearing 5 pieces of heavy armor to get this benefit. That's why you see on the light armor I don't have the bottom 2, and on the medium armor I don't have these 2 equipped. There's no reason for me to have them. Rapid Mending. When you have 5 or more pieces of heavy armor equipped, you increase your healing received by 8%. This just gives you greater survivability from heals because they're going to affect you better. World skills, Soul Magic. Soul Summons. This is just a really good skill to have. It allows you to receive revive once every hour without spending a soul gem. And then Soul Lock allows you, every time you kill an enemy with a weapon ability, has a 10% chance to automatically fill an empty soul gem. Moving on, Fighters Guild. I always unlock all the Fighters Guild passives just so I have access to taking advantage of the skills. With this, though, we're going to be focusing mostly on Mages Guild skills and stuff, so you can get those. Sigic Order, you can unlock some of these if you want to use them, depending on what skills you want to use, on what role. Stamina DPS, Magicka DPS, your choice. Synergies, also very important to unlock, to have available for in case you need them. So unlock the Undaunted passives, Undaunted skills, and the Undaunted passives also, because this will allow you to get resources back whenever you activate a synergy from somebody, and this one will increase your max health, stamina, and Magicka by 2% for each armor type worn. That's why I'm wearing 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. Alliance War, assault skills. Always good to have things available in here and in here. Take advantage of it. Dark Elf, all the passives, especially the Ruination. This increases weapon and spell damage by 258, and the Dynamics increases max Magicka and stamina by 1875. Dark Elves make great characters like this because they can take advantage of all the different tools. The other thing I want to mention before I get any further, medicinal use and provisioning, gourmand, and connoisseur. But as I was saying, before I get any further, the one thing I want to mention so people understand, you can play a damage dealer like this. You just have to know that they are not going to be as effective as a pure person that focuses on that idea. This class is focused to be well-rounded, so it can take advantage of damage, healing, and tanking all in one character. Okay, so it's not going to be super effective at any one thing. It's going to be good at one thing and good at other things. Like, it's going to be great at one thing but good at other things, and that's why it works really good as a tank, but it's also really good for support. It's really good for healer role. It's really good for damage role. It's not great at it, not like it is as a tank. Alright, so moving on now to the skills we have on our bar. Starting with the front bar, we do have Crushing Shock. We have this here because it is a great ability. It does damage from all 3 types, Flame, Frost, and Shock damage. And as you can see, all of them have the same shared damage value. On top of this, enemies hit with this while casting are interrupted, set off balance, and stunned for 3 seconds. It's a really good skill for that. Next ability we have is Stalking Blast Bones. Now this one, summon a flanking skeleton from the ground. After 2.5 seconds, the skeleton runs after the target and explodes. When it gets close to them, dealing 12,758 flame damage to all enemies nearby. Every second the skeleton spins chasing its target, increases the damage of the explosion by 10%, up to a maximum of 50% more damage. It creates a corpse on death. Next ability we have is Volcanic Ruin. This one, inscribe a rune of cosmic fire on the earth, which takes 2 seconds to arm and lasts 36 seconds. When triggered, the rune blasts all enemies in the target area for 6,592 damage, knocks them into the air, and stuns them for 4 seconds. It's basically a trap. It's not something that I would recommend using personally, but I just wanted to show you the idea of what skills you can use. This will also increase your max Magicka by 2% for having it on your bar because of the Mages Guild passive Magicka controller. Next skill we have is our Mystic Siphon. Now this one, you violently drain the last spark of life from a corpse, dealing 24,480 shock damage over 12 seconds to all enemies around the corpse and between you and the corpse. You also restore 2,844 Magicka over 12 seconds while siphoning the corpse. While slotted, your damage done is increased by 3%. Next ability we have is Inner Light. This is here to increase our max Magicka by 5% and give us Major Prophecy. That is the one thing that we cannot get with this class unless we use a potion or we use this. Next ability we have is our first ultimate, and it is called Pestilence Colossus. Now this is a diseased damage thing. This is more of a stamina based thing, but I wanted to use it with this one because I just like the way it works. Costs 225 ultimate. Unleash a Pestilence Flesh Colossus to pulverize enemies in the area. The Colossus smashes the ground 3 times over 3 seconds, dealing 9,301 damage, 10,229 damage, 11,159 damage, with the first, second, and third smash. Each smash applies major vulnerability to the enemy hit for 3 seconds, increasing their damage taken by 30%. This just allows you to increase your DPS. Moving on to the back bar, we have Unnerving Boneyard. Now this one, desecrate the ground at a target location, dealing 26,345 frost damage over 10 seconds and applying major breach and fracture to enemies within, reducing the spell and physical resistance by 5,280. Consume a corpse on cast to deal 20% more damage. An ally standing in the graveyard can activate the Grave Robber synergy, dealing 12,930 frost damage to enemies in the area and healing you for the damage done. So it's a really good way to like have a synergy for your group and do damage. Next ability we have is Blockade of Storms. This is just here for the damage over time. It does a lot. And then the next ability we have is another synergy, but it's a really good tool for a damage dealer. Mystic Orb. Project a globe of annihilation that slowly floats forward, dealing 1,345 magic damage every second to nearby enemies. An ally can activate the globe of combustion, causing the orb to explode, dealing 8,127 magic damage to nearby enemies, and restores 3,960 magicka or stamina to the ally, whatever is higher. This is a great tool for even a damage dealer to use. Next, we have Accelerate or Race Against Time. This one, bend time and space around you to gain major expedition for 4 seconds and minor force for 12 seconds, increasing your movement speed by 30% and critical damage by 10. Activating this ability removes all snares and immobilizes from you and grants you immunity from them for 2 seconds. This is great for a healer, or not a healer, but a damage dealer in a dungeon, because you do get snared a lot. You get talons put on you, you get all kinds of stuff. This allows you to break that and use this, and it's instantly cast. So when you cast this, it's instant. You get it right away, and you get that movement speed, you get that 10% increase in critical damage. It's awesome. We have Inner Light again to increase our Major Prophecy and our Max Magicka on the back bar. And then we have our Ice Comet, which call a comet from the constellations to blast an enemy, dealing 17,098 frost damage to all enemies in the area, knocking them down, stunning them for 2 seconds, and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 8 seconds. After impact, enemies in the target area take 4,956 frost damage every second for 11.8 seconds. So really good damage over time ability, and it has a really good CC effect, and it has the knockdown effect. It's really good to keep enemies like locked up. Now, you guys are going to ask, let's see this thing's DPS, because that's what we want. I'm going to show you the DPS, and you guys can go from here. I'm only going to use this. I'm not going to get on one of the bigger target dummies. If you want to figure out how to parse with this thing, train yourself. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm just going to show you like a rotation. So here we go. Starting with the back bar, we're going to hit Race Against Time. We're going to throw out this to hit that Major Fracture, Major Breach. Wall of Elements. Now remember, with this build, you've got to use a lot of heavy attacks in order to take advantage of all that stuff. So the damage we did over time, guys, was 15,000. I know it's really low to you guys, but this was a bad rotation. This thing can probably get up to 22, 25, and in a good group, you're looking at more. So I will just show you guys what it would look like in a group scenario if you're playing in a really organized group. Race Against Time, again, we're going to start with this. We're not going to try and kill this thing, I'm just going to show you. Alright, now we're going to walk away. We're going to let it run its course. We're going to see what kind of damage we did. It's probably going to be a little bit higher than what we did already. Probably closer to 18,000. Maybe 19. Okay, we did 21,000. So in a good organized group, you can do 21,000 KDPS. It's not bad. That's more than enough to do content like normal dungeons, normal trials. maybe some veteran base game dungeons, and maybe if you're really good, DLC stuff. But you'd have to be really good with this build to do that. And that's just a matter of learning how to play the build. And like I said, I just picked skills based on what I would use depending on what role I was. So, being a Magicka DPS character, I chose the Magicka skills that I felt would affect me and my group best. The other thing I could have done was I could even put this on my bar to give me and my group minor maim on the enemies, and I could increase the different effects of different things. I could even use some heals if I wanted to. And I really want people to understand that that's what this character is made to do. That's why I took all these different skills. That's why I took all the different abilities, is to show you how you can take advantage of every tool you have available. And like I said, 15,000 damage on your own isn't bad. That's going to get you through a lot of content. Alright, now let's take a look at the CP, because I didn't show you this yet. So starting with the red tree, we have 66 in Ironclad. This reduces damage taken from direct damage attacks by 22%. You're going to see a very familiar thing here that's similar to all the other builds. 31 into Thick Skin, reducing damage taken from damage over time effects by 13%. 56 into Hardy, reducing damage taken from physical poison disease damage by 12%. And 56 into Elemental Defender, reducing your damage taken from Flame Frost, Shock, and Magic damage by 12%. Moving on, we have 40 into Bastion. This increases your effectiveness of your damage shields by 16%. This is if you need a damage shield for this build, you can actually take advantage of it by using this. So there is only one that you can really use, and that's in the Fighters Guild. If you don't want to use it, Undaunted, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to, but if you need it, you have it. This way you have a shield that you can throw up and help mitigate damage on yourself. Moving on, we have 19 into Quick Recovery. This increases our healing received by 5%. Since we're in heavy armor, this really does help us out. We have 13% healing received. It really is good. We have 2 in Heavy Armor Focus, just to balance out our resistances between light, or our physical and spell resist. Moving on to the green tree, we have 40 into Warlord. This increases our cost to break free by 16%. We have 16 into Sprinter, reducing our sprint cost by 10%. 16 into Bashing Focus, reducing our bash cost by 10%. And then moving on to the middle here, we have 43 into Arcanus, increasing our magic recovery by 10%. 75 into Tenacity, increasing our magic and stamina of our fully charged heavy attacks by 14%. We are in heavy armor. Take advantage of it. Moving on over here, we have 40 into Tumbling, reducing our dodge roll cost by 16%. Remember that one piece of medium armor I told you about? That's going to give you a 20% cost reduction in dodge rolling. Next, we're using Shadow Ward 40. This reduces the the cost of block by 16%. And then moving on to the middle tree here, we have 43 into Bless. This is in case we want to use a group heal while we're a damage dealer. We can actually help the healer by having a couple group heals, just to help them out. We have 40 in Elfborn. This increases your critical damage and critical healing with magic abilities by 16%. We have 56 in an Elemental Expert. This increases Flame Frost, Shock, and Magic damage by 12%. And then moving on in here, we have 35 in the Staff Expert. This increases our damage done with light attacks and heavy attacks by 20%. We also have 56 in the Master at Arms, increasing our damage done with direct damage attacks by 20%. Remember, being in heavy armor, you do have to do a lot of heavy attacks in order to get resources back, because you can't focus on resource management like stamina recovery and magic recovery through those things. It's better to take advantage of your gear, the equipment you're using, to get your resources back. And that's why with heavy armor, you want a heavy attack more. So that's why we have this set up this way. Moving on over here, we do have 40 into Thaumaturge. This increases our damage done with damage over time effects by 16%. And that is our CP. Now that you guys have seen the build and how it can work, I want to show you just how effective it can be in a dungeon setting. I'm going to use it like it is with the shield on here. That way I have the survivability to take on the enemies I'm going to go face. And we're going to jump over here to the Depths of Malatar so you guys can see how it works. Now remember, again, this build, the character build itself, is designed to play any role necessary that it needs to play when it needs to play it. You don't have to stay as a tank all the time, or a healer all the time, or a damage dealer all the time. You can choose which roles you want to play with your character if you set them up properly, and that's what I'm showing you here.
As in, no one left alive inside.
Take it to the Imperial senses.
This is also a really good setup for solo play, because you can solo a lot of stuff. I'm gonna die. I'm not very good with this, so I apologize because I didn't grab a heal. I should have grabbed a self-heal, because then I could have probably survived better. So, if I had a self-heal, I could have survived better, but that was my mistake. I just wanted to show you that it does work, and you guys can see for yourselves. I was pulling, like, roughly, well, it won't show me because I didn't kill anything, but... And I don't have my DPS meter turned on because for some reason the PTS is bugged with it, with combat metrics. So, it freaks out the UI system. But I just wanted to show you it. And yes, you can play this way. And if you wanted to, like I said, if you had a self-heal that you could use to keep yourself alive, we will put it right here. We'll get rid of the orbs. Drop a Comet so I can get my shields off. Get my potion so I can heal myself. There we go. So you got, just so you guys can see, like, you can play this way in the game. Yeah, your DPS kind of sucks, but you know what? It's a lot of fun when you can take your character and do the things you want to do without having to swap to a different character to play a role. It's a lot easier to switch a role than it is to switch a character. It takes about the same amount of time. So, and that, my friends, is the Dark Paladin as a Magicka DPS. And I will be showing you it as a Stam DPS in another video, so keep your eyes open. It's coming soon. That means you guys know what's coming next. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. And this guy might see you in game. Bye.